Welcome to Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. When he was alive, Charlie Kirk's words were often harsh and controversial. Now, words shared publicly by others about his violent death are also controversial and a source of possible retribution. Hundreds of people are being called out, some have lost their jobs, for criticizing Kirk in the wake of his murder at a public speaking event in Utah. We will talk about what Kirk's death and the reaction to it teaches us about the limits of public discourse. That's right after the news.
This is National Native News. I'm Brian Bull, sitting in for Antonia Gonzalez. Hollywood legend Robert Redford has died at the age of 89. The longtime actor, producer, and activist passed away Tuesday in his Utah home. Among the many things Redford was known for over his career was championing the environment and indigenous rights. Vincent Schilling, a journalist and CEO of Schilling Media, says the late actor launched many Native careers.
It's no question that Mr. Robert Redford did a lot to help Native people. Look at the Sundance Institute. Native filmmakers, Native actors constantly have posted about the things through Sundance, and he just continued to fight the right fight.
Redford narrated the 1992 documentary Incident at Oglala, which investigated the 1975 murders of 2 FBI agents in South Dakota, and he was also an executive producer of the AMC mystery series Dark Winds. In the 3rd season premiere, he made a cameo appearance as a jailbird playing chess with another prisoner, played by George R.R. Martin. Lieutenant Joe Leaphorn, played by Zahn McClarnon, watches on.
George, the whole world's waiting. Make a move.
Bishop to King's Rook 5.
Checkmate. Thanks a lot.
Again, Vincent Schilling.
There is no mistaking what a hit Darkwind is, my gosh. Robert Redford really did quite a bit to enhance the legacy of not just himself as an actor, producer, and a filmmaker, but also the legacy of Native filmmakers and independent artists all over the world. He leaves behind a wonderful legacy.
Native artists, including Zahn McClarnon, Sterling Harjo, and Kiowa Gordon, have all paid tribute to Redford on social media. And South Dakota is a prime candidate for renewable energy developments like solar. However, one group wants to make sure that power and career potential reaches every corner of the state. SDPB CJ Keene has more.
Pine Ridge-based Red Cloud Renewables has just welcomed its 4th wholly indigenous cohort into its pre-ARP, or Apprentice Readyship program for the year. After the program, participants are, quote, rooftop ready to install solar panels as a career. Alicia Hayden is the group's communication manager. She explains how the program works.
They learn basically everything there is to know about being a solar installer. They stay with you on campus, so we give them money to get here. We buy them a plane ticket to get here. We give them meals, we provide lodging, so everything is free for the individual. When they leave here, they're ready to enter the workforce.
There's more to it than just helping people find career paths, though.
Separately from our pre-ARP, we run a weatherization program, which allows us to have this whole cache of community members that we know are struggling with their energy bills. And so we select an applicant out of there, and then nearing the end of this, we take the class there to their home, and we actually get the class up on the roof and install these solar panels for them. And it's free to the homeowner as well.
Hayden says the projects actively lower the cost of energy bills for families in need.
Especially on this reservation, there's so much energy hardship. And there's so much sunshine. There's so much open space. When you drive through the reservation, you hardly see any trees. You hardly see anything blocking out the sun. When we install these panels, we see a huge decrease in energy bills on our side of things. There's no better place for a program like this.
This program is funded through grant dollars and public funds. In total, the group plans for 7 pre-ARP programs by the end of the year for 100 total trainees. Information for how to get involved can be found on the Red Cloud Renewables website. For National Native News, I'm CJ Keene in Rapid City.
And I'm Brian Bull in the KLCC studios in Eugene, Oregon.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support for law and justice-related programming provided by Hobbs, Strauss, Dean & Walker, LLP, a national law firm dedicated to promoting and defending tribal rights for over 40 years. More information available at hobbsstrauss.com.
Support by AARP. AARP creates and connects people to unique tools and programs, helps conserve personal resources, and tackles issues that matter most to individuals, families, and communities. More at aarp.org.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.
This is Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. Two conservative members of Congress just introduced legislation to censure any lawmaker who disparages controversial public figure Charlie Kirk, who was killed by a gunman last week. Whether the bills go anywhere or not, they are part of a larger effort to instill penalties for anyone who makes public comments critical of a man whose career was built on divisive right-wing positions that the Southern Poverty Law Center called xenophobic. At the same time, liberal voices are lobbing criticisms at public figures who express any sympathy for Kirk or even his family. Dozens of media professionals, academics, and even restaurant servers have lost their jobs or been reprimanded for publicly mentioning Kirk in a negative light. Today, we'll explore what we, as Native Americans, can learn from this moment, as well as tips for avoiding backlash on social media. Listeners, you can join us. Call us at 1-800-996-2848. 1-800-996-2848. That number is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. Let's now meet today's guests. Joining us from Phoenix, Arizona is Che Jim. He is a content creator, entertainer, and an advocate. He is Dene. Che, good morning, and welcome to Native America Calling.
Good morning. Glad to be here. You know, it's my first time. I just realized this is my first time on radio. I've done a lot of things. I've never been in radio. And though I was like, why is this so strange? This is a weird experience, but I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here, brother. It's great to have you finally on the show. Awesome. Yeah. Joining us from Window Rock, Arizona is Cody Artis. He is a tribal advocate, a Navajo law practitioner, a bladesmith, an actor, and a comedian. He is also Dene. Cody, you have been on the show. It's not your first time. Welcome back, and it's great to have you back on Native America Calling.
Yatebano from the greatest capital in America, Window Rock, Arizona.
There we go. Thank you, Cody, very much. And our third guest joins us from Valley Center, California, Judith Wright. She is the president of the National Native American Human Resources Association Board. She's a member of the San Pasqual Band of Mission Indians. Judith, good morning to you as well. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to participate in this conversation.
I'm excited too, and let's go ahead and just get into this. Che, I want to begin with you. What prompted you to make a post on social media following Charlie Kirk's killing last week?
You know, I really felt that, first off, like as soon as it happened, I don't think it was a surprise to anybody that this was going to have a massive impact on everybody, on every American, on anyone who's been keeping up with. I think this is going to change the political landscape of this country and everything that we're involved with, right? And so it just seemed like to me, as soon as the thing happened, it's like, you know, this is something that no one's going to be really able to escape from, short of absolutely just being like going completely ghost and just being silent on the issue, or not talking about the situation at hand. I felt there's no way. And for those of us who exist in the online sphere, on the online space, creative space, advocacy circles, whatever, this is something that was going to pop up. And I think people are going to look towards people for guidance and clarity and for insight, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And so, you know, I just the type of person that I am as an individual, I'm not somebody who shies away from those types of things. I've never shied away from those types of things. And so I decided right then and there, as soon as the news broke, that I wanted to, you know, share my initial thoughts and how like the first couple things that really came to mind following the breaking news about everything, you know, and so I decided to go ahead and make a little bit of I made a video, and you know, in the video I had expressed that, you know, look, first and foremost, you know, this is a tragic thing that happened. Like, it doesn't, whether you agree with the guy or you don't. You know, he, in my video, you know, you can see me being quoted as saying, you know, he was a father, he was a brother, he was a son, he was a human being, were my exact words. You know, it's like, and this is not how we should be handling anything ever. Like, you know, murder is never the right answer. You know, but this is going to have, because of who he was and because of what he has created and how involved he was politically, that there are going to be some reactions to this. And so I made a video saying, you know, everybody be very, very careful about what happens next. And that was my initial video that I made. Like, you know, I didn't really comment too much on what he did personally in his life. But I did say, you know, what's going to happen after this is there's going to be a lot of finger pointing. There's going to be, you know, there's potential for targeted attacks from whatever side. There's going to be a lot of, you know, controversy around this. There's going to be, you know, and so my real first thing that I wanted to let everyone know is just kind of more or less like, just be careful.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
just really be careful, you know. So that was my initial thing. And I really wanted that message of safety to be put out there first and foremost, situational safety, environmental safety, and obviously, and mental safety, you know.
Che, you've got 641,000 followers on Instagram. On Facebook, you've got over 250,000 followers. So obviously you've got a significant reach. So when you post information, when you put a video out there, a lot of people are going to see it. What kind of reactions were you preparing for? Did you expect to get some heat?
No, I didn't. I mean, how do I say? I definitely, I'm used to getting heat. Mm-hmm. Just because, again, more when you dive into the advocacy side of things, I mean, you're going to get people who just don't like you just because they don't like you. But I really truly thought that the initial message would be, hey, this is horrible, this is whatever. Yeah, the guy was super decisive, and you know, it's you know, it is what it is. But at the same time, everyone be safe, watch your back, you know, be careful what you put out there. I was doing all those things. And so I really thought that that was going to be a little better received than what it was. I feel like everything got polarized with the situation almost instantly. I thought there'd be a little bit of a hesitation, you know, maybe, I don't know if you want to call it gray area or not, but I thought that there might be a little bit of a gray, people deciding like, how do I react? I thought there's going to be a little bit more of that, but I was very surprised about the speed of which it was, you know, the general consensus was, it's whether you are with us or you're against us. That kind of mentality, I think, set in very quickly. And, you know, and that I wasn't expecting. And when you have that type of mentality, if it doesn't seem like you're on board with whatever they believe or their feelings or or whatever, their quote unquote side, then they're going to come at you. And that's exactly what happened to me. I mean, they came at me almost instantaneously about the whole thing. And I think there's a lot of people who kind of misconstrued or latched on to certain ideologies around the conversation, and they tried to apply that onto everybody, whether or not that's really what they were saying or not.
Okay. Che, we want to talk about the ripple effects of social media in a context like this. And it's important that our listeners understand that a member of the Manitoba cabinet in Canada, Minister Nahanni Fontaine, she shared your post and is now facing calls to resign. It's also prompted a review of other comments and actions that she has made. She's since deleted that post and she's apologized. But could you have imagined that ripple effects like this would happen and jobs would be on the line?
I didn't. I really, really didn't. You know, we've had so many situations over the last however many years, and also just to be a little clear on the matter, I made a video about the Charlie Kirk thing where I expressed what I just talked about, which is be safe. This, everyone watch your back, and don't let them rile you up or blame people for whatever. This is the act of an individual. Blah blah blah. And then when I started getting a bunch of heat about it, that's when I was like, but at the same time, let's be honest, right? Like, let's not sanitize what this guy was about. Let's not ignore his messaging. And that was the post when I posted that one. That's when the cabinet member, the minister Fontaine in Canada, had shared my post about that one. And so it brings up an interesting point, because when I had heard about everything, and I think when you're in public office, it's one thing, if you're a government official, and you represent more than just Indian people. You represent more than just people of color, LGBTQIA plus or whatever, or majorities. Like, you don't just represent the white population. Like, you represent everybody. So you have to be a little careful about that. I'm not in that position, which is why I can take and say certain things I feel. But so I was a little surprised that that even happened. I actually didn't even realize that she shared that until like a day ago. I had no idea. Because there's been so much noise. There's been so much going on, and I'm so far removed from Canada. I have no idea. But I was a little surprised about it, just because Native people, for a lot of years, have faced a lot of silencing and oppression of opinions and thoughts and feelings about those types. Again, I understand she's a government official, and that takes a different stance on this type of thing. But outside of her, very surprised to see it. I am.
All right. Shay, thanks for kicking off our discussion today here on Native America Calling. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and we'll talk with Shay along with our other guests. And we've got the phone lines open if you would like to call in and comment. Did you go to social media after Charlie Kirk's assassination last week? Did you post? Did you comment? Did you share your viewpoints publicly? Have you faced any heat? Have you faced any repercussions or any impact at all from your comments publicly? Give us a call, 1-800-996-2848. Banishment has been a long-time traditional punishment some tribes impose on their citizens who commit crimes or go against tribal ways. But the practice has little legal backing in modern society. Few tribes who use banishment have written laws or policies to guide them. We'll talk about the power and limitations of banishment on the next Native America Calling.
Support provided by Amerind. Amerind is 100% tribally owned and partners with tribes and their businesses to provide affordable commercial insurance coverage, protect tribal sovereignty, and strengthen Native American communities by helping to keep dollars in Indian country. Information about property, liability, commercial auto, and workers' comp available at Amerind.com. That's AMERIND.com.
You are listening to Native America Calling. We're talking about social media discourse today. What should a person keep in mind before posting heated words about a controversial topic? Is the current reaction to Charlie Kirk's death different than what's come before? Think of other assassinations that have occurred throughout this nation's history. What's been the reaction? You can join us. You can share your insights. 1-800-996-2848. That's also 1-800-99-NATIVE. Let's speak now with Cody Artis. He joins us now from Window Rock, Arizona. And Cody, you also took to social media last week, and I want to talk about one of your posts in which you compared the attention focused on Charlie Kirk's murder with the lack of similar outrage over the deaths of citizens of Gaza, which is, of course, another controversial topic. Tell us more about what prompted you to share your views on social media.
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's in these situations, they tend to take the spotlight and shine it onto other things. And what prompted me to really post about something is just the desensitization that we are faced with, especially the younger, the youth, and the people that share all these images. I think that what I see that's very ironic is that people were preaching about political violence and preaching about, political violence is not the answer. Or the same people that have not said anything about Gaza or the Palestinians or people that are supporting Palestinians, the outrage that they have faced. For example, there's people that have been fired, that have been let go from schools for showing any support for Palestine. And I think that, to me, I was thinking about that in that context of, we have a right-wing activist, a right-wing commentator who looked at, and, he actually would say that, he hated Muslims. He had the xenophobic, Islamophobic rhetoric that was being pushed on the media and in his podcast, in his interviews, but especially towards Palestinians, their lives didn't really matter to him. So now that he was assassinated, everyone was talking about empathy. Everyone was talking about his quotes and talking about him being this awesome human being and being assassinated for his points of views. But they did not look at what he had to say about Palestinians. They did not look at what he had to say about Muslims, about, babies that were being bombed, whole families that are being eliminated. And now with the recent UN discovery and UN, coming to terms that it is a genocide that's occurring right now. And I always think that, that was given after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So what would Charlie Kirk have said about this recent positioning of the UN of it being finally called a genocide? He probably would have denied it. He would have said, no, Israel has, a right to protect themselves. The Palestinians, the Muslims, they're all like this, and all this Islamophobic rhetoric. So I started thinking, well, we can say what we want about violence, about Gaza, but we got to start thinking more about the youth. What are they looking at? They're so impressionable, They're so impressionable to the point that, they're going to martyr a right-wing activist before they martyr people that are Palestinian. And now that, we're so desensitized to it, there's another perspective that we're also dehumanizing one another in this. Dehumanizing, Charlie Kirk, at the bottom line, he has kids, right? Those kids witnessed his assassination. Thousands of people, millions of people online have witnessed his assassination. And he was dehumanized fairly quickly, just like the Palestinian people are dehumanized fairly quickly as well. And so I thought about that and thinking about, where do I stand when it comes to people that want to talk about this, people that want to, say like, no, murder is wrong, and to be pushed on social media for everyone to see. I think that was just, it's been horrific. And for a while, I had to get off social media as well, just because of the death and the destruction I've seen. And with Charlie Kirk, I just kind of was like, dang, I'm done. I'm done with social media. I'm done with the horror that I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis from all sides.
Okay. So, Cody, are you off social media now then because of this?
I'm thinking about taking a break. Right now, I'm currently not. I'm currently on social media, but I have been thinking deeply about, just going off AWOL on social media for a while.
Okay. Cody, tell me more about the responses that you've gotten with regard to your posts. What are people commenting? What are they telling you? I want to hear more.
Yeah. So I've been hearing it all from all sides. One of the main ones that I've heard, especially in the Navajo community, for example, when it comes to Gaza and Palestinian rights, and their self-determination and the genocide that's happening, is that, there's a lot of Navajo people who champion Charlie Kirk would be like, well, what did the Palestinians do for us? What is, they're over there, they're doing this and that. What have they done for us? That has been my response. A lot of the response I post about Gaza or Palestine or Palestinian people. And then the response for Charlie Kirk, the same people that are saying those type of rhetoric, they're like, well, Charlie Kirk was a great man. He got killed for speaking his mind. But they also don't look at Charlie Kirk. Really, he was erasing Indians all the time. When us Native Americans, he was erasing us a lot of the time with his rhetoric. Like, he talked about the pioneer days, the settlers that came in, and he would just be like, it was barren land, and he would say Western civilization made this place better, and it's been that same rhetoric over and over with these people that, Charlie Kirk was a great man. He was a great advocate. He was a right-wing activist. Like, how could we do this? And so that has been in my DMs all the time.
And Cody, these people that have engaged with you who are critical of your take on Charlie Kirk, have any of them concerned you at all? Have they made any threats, or have you been in any situations where you've been like, geez, I'm not so sure about who this person is or what their intentions are, but I feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, actually, I have. A person, went on a rant on my status, and he was like, I read one of his statuses on his wall after I posted that. He's like, these keyboard warriors. I'm thinking he's talking about me, and he's like, just wait until you catch a fade or catch me in the streets, And I think about that, and it's not my first time. I've been somewhat active, especially in the first years of Trump's administration, and I've been doxxed before. And I'm pretty sure Che can also talk about this as well, of being doxxed and people, putting your name out there, your face, and everything like that, and you get, and they're like anonymous messages that send you this. People will be like, watch out where you're going, watch what you say. And, at first, again, you get kind of scared about it. But at the end of it, a lot of these people are just talking heads. But now, with the Charlie Kirk assassination, they're finding anyone that opposes their views, and they're going to go out of their way to commit violence. And that's one of the things I've been thinking about a lot, and how to defend myself in the sense of like, okay, if I come into this situation, there's a couple of ways that I can talk to this person. And some of these people can't be reasoned with. And so how do you protect yourself with people that can't be reasoned with? Right. Is another big thing.
Che, I want to bring you back into the conversation, and I want to ask you the same question. Have you faced threats similar to what we're hearing from Cody? And also, like Cody mentioned, and you shared yourself, you're used to getting heat. You're used to taking sides in issues. Is this situation with Charlie Kirk, is it different from other issues in the past that you've taken a strong stance with regard to social media?
Yes, I have. Yes, all of the above. I've gotten, like I had mentioned before, like when you work in advocacy, when you work in these spaces, there are just people who are just, we've seen historically forever, really, since the beginning of time, that people will definitely go to pretty extreme lengths for their belief systems. And so I have, on many occasions over the years, faced people who, whether they disagree with the stance I took, some people get upset because of a joke that I made. Like I've had some people legitimately get really like, and same thing, like death, like real legitimate death threats, over everything. I remember when I was in Standing Rock back in 2017, I must have been getting, I'll probably one or two real serious ones a week. I had somebody come into my yard and fire a bunch of gunshots over my roofs during the whole Standing Rock thing when we were reporting on that. A mere, hours after making the threat. So, I mean, there are people who legitimately will go that far. And as we've seen, I mean, over the last however long, this is not particularly, something that's new, but it is something that is different this time because there's a frenzy around it. When everything happened with Standing Rock, for instance, there's a media blackout because there were, atrocities. There were things being done out there that were against Geneva Convention, if not shooting water cannons and freezing temperatures or, shooting someone's eye out from the police. There are all kinds of stuff going on out there. And they really didn't want that type of attention being brought onto that issue because it didn't serve the bigger narrative, to be honest. So they just were quiet about it. So these things really relatively went unheard. This one is a lot different because this is every single person seems to know what's going on. This conversation is probably has been held in every household in the United States. You know what I mean? Like that's some huge news. And I think back on it and I'm looking at this, I'm like, I remember like my parents talking about, I remember where I was when JFK died. Like, I think that this impact is just as large. I think it's really, really big. And so I think, so the feeding frenzy, I think, is way more intense.
Okay. And Che, that begs the question also, because I see it as well. It's just nonstop posting, commenting. You see it all over the news. And do you think as a country, how's this all going to play out? Like, where do you see this? Are we going to finally come to turn? Are people going to kind of just tone it down a little bit, tone down the rhetoric? Do you think it's just going to continue to amplify what we've seen over the last few years? I mean, any sense of healing or resolution to any of this? Do you see it at all on the horizon?
Not anytime soon. I think just with the current administration and with the political climate that we're seeing right now with everything, and a lot of it is fueled by social media. That's another huge factor, and why I decided personally to join into this conversation today is because social media has become such a contributing factor to the political climate. If we don't have our commander in chief over there trying to shut down, TikTok, or I'm sorry, Congress trying to shut down TikTok, and then all of a sudden the president changing his tone when it serves his needs and all kinds of stuff. Like, the social media has become almost, in a way, one of the main news sources that are fed to people on a daily basis. It's so digestible. It's so easy to get to. There's such instant gratification and instant engagement, whereas in the past, we've always had to deal with major news network outlets or newspapers or whatever, and it was really held within communities to decide how they felt about it as a whole. Now it's not that way. These communities have now have moved into the virtual space, and it's created and the misinformation, the snowball effect is much bigger, and until we figure out how we are to navigate what that looks like, if we even can, is really the question here. We've never, I think, had a situation where we made ourselves bleed as a country, and had to sit here and figure out how we feel, and then have the added compounding element of social media thrown in there, where every single person can engage in that conversation from anywhere in the world. It's a really unique situation, and I don't think we're going to figure it out today. I don't think we're going to figure it out tomorrow. I don't think we're going to figure it out anytime soon.
All right.
And because even now I'm hearing a lot of people like, understand that, political assassinations and political violence, believe it or not, when you look at the numbers, is actually down, has been trending downward for years. But it doesn't seem that way because of the feeding frenzy and because of the social media aspect of making it seem like it's everywhere all the time. Now, that's just within the United States, not including Gaza, Palestine, the Congo. It's not including any of that. I'm not talking about that, but just here in the States.
Thanks, Che. Cody, I want to go back to you because this is interesting, but like here at the show, Native America Calling, our Instagram post with regard to this show and this topic has already generated more than 80 comments. And it reminds me that social media can be a lucrative enterprise for some organizations, for some individuals. And when situations like this occur, it's an opportunity for people and organizations to build a following and build a brand by commenting and by sharing takes on issues like this. What's your thought about that in terms of just the opportunity here, just the business side of social media and how that factors into what we're talking about today too?
Yeah, I think that you have a lot of these, businesses that grift. They are somewhat a grifter when it comes to these political or these situations or scenarios that we're faced with. I also think that like the same goes with a lot of influencers as well. They want to talk and give their piece about it, but also a lot of them, especially with the Charlie Kirk assassination, they use it for their views. They use it for pushing their agenda. I know that, for example, Candace Owen has released a lot of the conspiracy theories that have, come out, linking Charlie Kirk's assassination to other things. And then, a lot of left-wing podcasts have been using it to push their agenda and push their views and their stats, right? And
All
I
right.
think that, to me,
Cody, I'm sorry, Cody. We're going to have to take a break here. We'll come back. I'll let you finish your train of thought. And then we're going to bring Judith Wright into the conversation as well. So stay with us, listeners. We will be right back.
Support for journalism that raises the awareness of child well-being to citizens and to policymakers provided by the Annie E. Casey Foundation, building a brighter future for children, families, and communities. Information at aecf.org.
Support by Sonosky Chambers Law, championing tribal sovereignty and Native American rights since 1976. From opioids litigation to treaty rights to tribal self-governance. With offices in Washington, D.C., New Mexico, California, and Alaska. Sonosky Chambers Law.
We're glad you're with us today on Native America Calling. Have you shared your opinions publicly about the late right-wing activist Charlie Kirk? Have you been advised by an employer or someone else to avoid talking about his assassination publicly or posting comments on social media? You can share your thoughts with us today. Call us at 1-800-996-2848. That's also 1-800-99-NATIVE. Before I bring Judith Wright into the conversation, I want to get Cody Artis back on the line and give him a chance to continue or finish his comments with regard to influencers, social media people that might see an opportunity here just to build a brand. And Cody, I also want to ask you, you and Shay, you're active on social media. Indian country is a pretty small world. What about other influencers across Turtle Island? What are their, how completely is Indian country embracing this issue? I'm curious to know on social media. Can you give us a gauge on that as well? Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, and just to finish up my thought, I think that the grifters and a lot of the social media influencers, TikTok influencers, I think that they're capitalizing on it, capitalizing on Charlie's death and his assassination. One is to push their agenda, and especially from the right-wing activists as well, that they've been pushing it. Whether that's a political agenda, whether that's monetary agenda, I think they all kind of correspond. I saw a post that said that there's more like Turning Point USA chapters that wanted to be set up, right? There's people that are donating. And that's another thing that I've seen about, for example, Jubilee. There was a person on there who who was on one of their social media or one of their episodes, right? And he had admittedly said that he openly admitted that he was a fascist, and then he got let go from his job. And then after that, people donated to him, and they donated thousands of dollars. And I see that, these people are using that as a weaponization to either gain some more followers or some more money as well. But I'm also seeing that when it comes to what was the other question?
Well, just across the board, how much or to what extent do you think Indian countries really dialed into this issue and people are commenting and other influencers, other native influencers in addition to yourselves, are commenting on it and are posting?
Yeah, I feel like there's people that are taking the, I don't want to label it because I think that natives are kind of, in our communities, we're a little bit different from a lot of the regular American politics, right? There's people that are taking more of a right-wing approach that are saying, Charlie was a good man. He was just saying what he felt, and he got shot and assassinated for his words. And then you have the middle ground where it's like, yeah, we shouldn't be mourning his death, but also like, he wasn't the best human being. And then there's people that are actually celebrating his assassination.
Okay.
Because, they're like, he's just another settler that's just pushing this rhetoric and erasing other people. And that's becoming a hate speech. It's becoming hateful. It's affecting those communities. And these are the people that I feel like are in the Native community as well. And then there's some people that are just like, who's Charlie Kirk, Mm. And I think that it's a little bit interesting in our Native community because American politics, in a way, are different from our own politics within our own tribes, within our own communities. And I think people are trying to relate and correlate them both, which I think is just really interesting to really observe because Charlie Kirk openly and always championed Western civilization and assimilation, and he was a genocide denier for Native Americans. And so now you're seeing like, oh, okay, so we're all supporting this guy now. We're all supporting his agenda. And then there's people that are like, nah, like straight up, like, we're not going to care about that guy and his assassination.
Okay.
So
All right,
that's
Cody.
what I'm kind of seeing as well.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for all these insights. I'm going to share some comments that we have received on our NAC Instagram page. This is one from Sam Poitra. Quote, I literally just got out of a meeting with the higher ups at my place of employment because some psycho threatened to shoot me and then proceeded to email my workplace and my state senator, all because I posted Charlie Kirk's own quotes. Here's another one from Josh Baudel Jones. Quote, just don't celebrate murder. It isn't complicated at all. And another one from Maiden Blood Vein. Can we stop talking about him? Let's move on. Stop feeding the fire. We've got a caller on the line, but before I take the call, I want to bring Judith right into our conversation. She is in Valley Center, California. She is the president of the National Native American Human Resources Association Board. And Judith, thank you again for joining us. And let's go back and talk more about this issue with employment. Now, a number of people have been fired from their jobs because of their social media posts connected to Charlie Kirk's assassination. And of course, let's remember that people have been getting fired for what they post on social media for quite a while now. But can you explain to us what is it exactly that gives a company the ability to fire someone who is expressing an opinion on their own personal social media account?
Normally, and let me just start off as an employer, I've spent over 40 years in HR and 25 years as the vice president of human resources supporting thousands of team members. And social media is one of the biggest challenges that we have had. And so it's so important for an employer to have some expectations on social media. And social media, I believe, gives our team members a voice and the freedom to share what we think, but there can be some consequences. So it's important that an employer set some expectations on there. What would get a individual into a situation where disciplinary is being shown is if they represent or if they show that it is also the feeling or the representing the company. And what we need to remember is what we say online can follow us for years, the positive and the not so positive. And as Jay had mentioned, even if we delete a post or we can't control who's taken a screenshot or shared it. In his case, it was shared. So one of the things, that we talk about is on social media, it can be that tool, that positive tool, but it can also be a risk. So we want to make sure that we educate our team members on using social media. We want to support that they have the freedom to speak their feelings, but to also remember or disengage from the company is I'm not representing my company. And this is one of the things that we share at NAHARA on, have a strong social media policy there. As I said, we're committed to supporting the right, to interact, but also our intent is educating our team members on what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And the only other time that I could see where it would impact negatively on a team member is if they were harassing or bullying somebody there, and again, somebody associated them to our company.
Okay, Judith, we have more questions for you, but I'm going to take a caller now. This is Jen. She listens to our show every day online in East Texas. Hello, Jen. Thank you for calling in. What's your take?
Well, thank you so much for this program, because I've learned a valuable lesson here as a journalist who normally always fact checks whatever I'm about to post about. I failed to do this because I had heard someone make a quote of his, someone I absolutely have so much faith in. She's internationally known musician, writer, and so forth. And she made a quote, and I reposted it, and she'd made several quotes about him. And then I had been shocked when he had such a huge following, and I thought, why would anybody want to shoot this man? And then when I saw her post, I reluctantly, but I posted it, and it was the one about empathy. And after she'd made several comments and quotes, and then the next day I saw people's response to this, and an editor of mine that had edited my work in journalism many years ago, he spoke to me, and he was very kind and good, as although he called me a leftist, which I'm not, I'm a centrist. But I learned my lesson because he quoted the whole quote, and what I had seen had been taken from that quote. And I was so embarrassed, and my family living in other states had seen it. They were hurt and crushed because, of course, they love him. And I've just learned such a huge lesson here that, and then whenever I did go on Snopes, which I probably need to get a better one, I never could find the full quote.
Okay.
So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and let people
All right. Okay.
go their way.
Yeah, Jen, thank you for that call. And Judith, I'd like you to comment here because we heard Jen say, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. And this is the challenge, right? So many of us are on social media, and it's just so easy to just kind of just post, right? You just get fired up about something, and it's so easy to just comment. And then obviously in some cases people look, oh, geez, why did I do that? I should have just kept my mouth shut or whatever. Is there any type of training, Judith, or any tips you can offer so people can just, just hit the pause button just for a minute? Because once it's out there, it's out there. Even if they delete it, who knows, a screenshot or whatever, it can stay out there forever. What's your advice?
Oh, I can share some advice that I give to my grandchildren. I have adult grandchildren who sometimes respond on there, and I always tell them, never post faster than you can think. Think about what you're going to post. And it's not to say that you can't share your thoughts and opinions. But also remember that, this freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. There may be some consequences. So if you're angry, if you're emotional about something, it's okay to post, but don't post right at that time. Take the time to think. And because it follows you, it's something that we can't get rid of. The digital format there, as we mentioned previously, we can delete those, but we don't know who has shared them. We don't know how many screenshots there are, and it can follow you for years. So it's think of every post as either adding to your reputation or taking away from it. That would be my advice that I give to our team members is, again, we try to educate them. We don't want to impact their ability to share their thoughts, but think about it. And that's the advice I give to my grandchildren.
Judith, are there any ways to contest a reprimand or a firing over a social media post?
Absolutely. If you disagree with it, then appeal. Every company has an appeal process. The ones, and I can share with the companies that we have worked with, the only times that we brought other individuals in is if they posted something that, again, represented our company as speaking for our company. And it wasn't even a termination. Really, it was a education, a coaching, and you can't do this, and this is why. The other times where an appeal comes in is if they are wearing the uniforms of their company and they post pictures. And that is something that we always share about is, if you're going to take a picture and you're going to say, I disagree with this, make sure, again, think about what you're posting. You don't have our company policy on a company uniform on, and also look at where you are. Are you in your office? What are you, what's it showing? We've had individuals where we had to have a conversation with them because they had other employee information, because we work in HR, other employee information on their desk that were posted. So it really is what is happening and what the employer policy is. But it's take a moment before you post anything and make sure that you are representing your company and you're representing yourself well.
All right, Judith, I want to ask you one more question, and then unfortunately we're going to have to wrap up the show. But how does a person and what they post on social media, how do they get on the radar of someone in your position? Do HR professionals, do you actively monitor social media posts by employees, or do you have like AI that does it? How does that all work?
No, absolutely. We do not monitor. It usually is brought to our attention by other team members in our case. But as you have seen, sharing of the information, that goes quickly. And people are sharing things all over the place. So I kind of have to go with Cody, where I actually left social media just because it was giving me anxiety sometimes, just seeing all the posts. And, I took a break from it. And now anything that we post is really about our company and promoting our company. But no, we do not monitor our team members' social medias, but many times other team members bring it to our attention.
All right, we're going to have to wrap up this conversation today, but just because the show is over doesn't mean this dialogue, this conversation has to end. So I encourage listeners to go to our social media. Go to our social media. If you're going to if you're going to leave social media, at least wait until you comment on this show. How about that? Go to our Facebook, go to our Instagram. We've got Blue Sky and Threads as well. You can comment on this show. You can share your insights as well. We are an open forum here on Native America Calling, and we always appreciate it when our listeners engage with us. And big thanks to our three guests today, Jay Jim, Cody Artis, and Judith Wright. And don't forget, join us again tomorrow. We'll have a discussion about the power and limitations of tribal banishment. Until then, I'm your host, Sean Spruce. You've been listening to the one, the only Native America Calling.
Skugtash. For more than 40 years, Ramona Farms has revived ancient traditional foods, tepary beans, pinoli, polentas, and more, all from store.ramonafarms.com. Ramona Farms supports this show. Omye.
Support for law and justice-related programming provided by Hobbs, Strauss, Dean & Walker, LLP, a national law firm dedicated to promoting and defending tribal rights for over 40 years. More information available at hobbsstrauss.com.
Program support by AmeriCorps Vista, where you can kickstart your career and help others in your community. With AmeriCorps Vista, you can serve in an office setting and address issues of poverty while gaining career experience and building your leadership skills.
Learn more by visiting americorps.gov/vista today. That's AMERICORPS.gov/VISTA.
Native America Calling is produced in the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios in Albuquerque, New Mexico by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation, a Native nonprofit media organization. Funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting with support from the Public Radio Satellite Service. Music is by Brent Michael Davids. Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.